لكن تحديت الظروف وخضتها وحدي صبورا مستعينا بالصلاة. كم مرة عصف الأنين بداخلي، كم مرة قد ذاق قلبي من أساه محن تمر، وكم كرهت مصابها.
I will show you now from a scholar who was an historian when writing about a history of Al-Ahsa how they severely massacred them, even declared them to be kuffar, murtaddun, and pillaged their towns, pillaged their areas more than once. And I would even go further, and you'll see in another video. They went to Al-Ahsa even after the death of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, and they kept pillaging, going there, killing, looting. And this was merely due to the fact that they opposed the da'wah of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab. Now, where's the proof for this? Okay, where's the proof? As you can see on screen, we've got the book Tuhfatul Mustafid بتاريخ الأحساء في القديم والجديد. So basically, the history of Al-Ahsa, the old and the new. في سنة 76 و100 ألف. That in the year 1176, and this is still in the lifetime of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab. So Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab was giving the fatwa, and Muhammad bin Saud and his son Abdul Aziz, who was the son-in-law of Muhammad bin Abdul, were going in and slaughtering and killing. Wait, you'll see it as well. So basically, they prepared an army, Imam Muhammad and his son, to conquer Al-Ahsa, and they were victorious in one of the villages. Okay. And they killed from their people 70 men. They went in there and they killed 70 men. What did they do when they entered into that village as the arrow's over? وَغَنَمَ جَمِيعَ مَا فِيهَا. And they took as ghanima whatever they could find in that village. Now the question I like to ask, coming back to me now. So just to ask a question now. If they went into that territory, just to expand territory, Muslims shouldn't fight each other, it's haram. But it happens, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Hujurat tells us what you should do. They went into that territory, just say they took it over, right? They killed 70 men. Okay, it's haram. Okay, they shouldn't kill Muslims. But is it permissible to take their property? If they were Muslims, if they were treated as Muslims. So then they did a conquest, okay, in another place. And they fought and they were victorious. And then they come back to Ad-Dar'iyah. Mentioned in the year 1188, so it's still in the life of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, because he died 1206, 1207. They went into, obviously, a place called Qasim. And they raided into it. That they entered into it violently, meaning they entered into it aggressively. And what did they do? وَنَحَبَ مَا فِيهَا. And they plundered whatever was in it. They plundered. Thief. Now what we're going to do is we're going to connect this to Tariq al-Najd. We'll connect it to Tariq al-Najd, so to show you, look, they hated the people of Al-Ahsa. And again, Ibn Afalik was from them, Ibn Fayruz was from them, and as I mentioned earlier, and I repeat myself, I'm going to show you another video where he made explicit takfir of those people, and then you'll connect it, because obviously when they make takfir, their blood is halal, and that's what they were doing for 70 plus years. So he basically mentions that Saud went with the Muslims to Al-Ahsa and went to various villages there, and he mentions that the people of Al-Ahsa, what did they do? They violated the agreement, وَإِرْتَدُّوا عَنِ الدِّينِ. They apostated from the religion. So the whole Al-Ahsa apostated from the religion. So now you know, when they plundered and they slaughtered, etc., and they stole, took out ghanima, they treated the people of Al-Ahsa blanket takfir, and then changed takfir because whoever allied with them, etc. Let's compare it now to the Ottomans when they took Al-Ahsa, because they went into Al-Ahsa. Okay, the Ottomans ruled Al-Ahsa. So what did they do? How did they treat the Muslims in comparison to your spiritual forefathers? The Ottoman Turks taking over upon Al-Ahsa the first time. So what we'll do, we'll compare how the early Da'wat al-Najdiyya, the Wahhabiyya, how they took it over and how the Ottoman Turks took it over, and you'll see the difference. So it mentions that in the year 963 Hijri, Sultan Suleiman Khan bin Sultan Salim, so meaning Suleiman al-Kanuni, the son of Sultan Yavuz Sultan Salim, they went to open up Al-Ahsa, فَاسْتَوْلَ عَلَيْهَا. They took it over. And what did they do when they took it over? وَبَنَى مَسْجِدًا فِي دَاخِلِ الْقَوْتِ. That they built a mosque في بلد الحفوف. في بلد حفوف. So I built it in this particular place. So making that comparison now, in the year 1198, okay, they went, okay, this is now mentioning Saud ibn al-Imam Abdul Aziz. So he went with the permission of his father, meaning Abdul Aziz, to Al-Ahsa again. Okay, 1198. So this is just a history of Al-Ahsa. We're going to go into Tariq al-Najd, Takfiri Tendencies Part 4, and the other book that I've got waiting. We're going to go into it in much detail. So they went in there and they raided into a Qarya called Al-Uyun, this village called Al-Uyun, that they took whatever they could from their livestock. What happened? Between them there was fighting, many men died from the Najdiyah, and basically they returned back. Okay, let's carry on. So now he mentions in this year, so we're going into different years now. He says in the year 1204, so this is still in the lifetime of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, it mentions Sara Saud bin Abdul Aziz bin Junudihi, that Abdul Aziz or Saud bin Abdul Aziz, the son of Abdul Aziz, went with an army. Okay, so this is the grandson of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab again. And it says وَمَعَهُ زَيْدِ bin Ar'ir, this individual, if I pronounce his name right. So basically, in a nutshell, they went to Banu Khalid. Okay, they went to Banu Khalid, a tribe called Banu Khalid. وَقَصَدَ Banu Khalid, basically, intending Banu Khalid. And when they went there, وَإِسْتَمَرَّ الْقِتَالِ بَيْنَهُمْ ثَلَاثَةَ أَيَّامٍ, that when they fought for 3 days. They continued on for 3 days fighting. ثُمَّ وَقَعَتَ الْحَزِيمَةِ عَلَى بَنِي Khalid, that Banu Khalid were defeated. And there were many killing from amongst them. So did they kill them just because obviously they want to take over the territory, or did they kill them as murtadun? You'll see now in the next sentence. It says وَغَنَمَ السَّعُودُ جَمِيعَ مَا كَانَ مَعْهُمْ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ, he took ghanima, whatever he found from Banu Khalid or Bani Khalid. Okay, after killing many of them, he took their property as well, from wealth, etc, etc. And then he mentions that some of the people fled, etc. Then he mentions in the year 1206, so this is the same year that Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab passed away. What happened? Al-Imam Saud went to Al-Qatif. This is where predominantly where the Shia were. And they basically surrounded the areas, and they entered into it violently, and they killed many of the people, and they took it over. And then he mentioned they killed from its people 400 men and took a lot of wealth. Okay, so they took a lot of wealth. Now he mentions that Al-Imam Saud went to Al-Ahsa to kind of discipline them. So look at that, discipline them. Look how many times they've been over the years, right? You see, this is just a history of Al-Ahsa. And who were the scholars that were from amongst that particular area? Ibn Afhalik, Ibn Fayruz, and we're going to go into that in another video. So I mentioned in the year 1208, so Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab has passed away now. So how many times did they go back and forth? I could present more, I'm just showing the main bits. He carries on and he mentions that he went towards Al-Ahsa and he besieged it, and the people fled and they entered into it violently. So they entered violently, you see? Daesh, ISIS, who's the spiritual forefathers? There you go, you can answer that question. And they took whatever was in there, and they killed a number of the men that were there. And then he mentioned they went to another couple of villages. And what did they do? They negotiated with, watch this, they negotiated with the people to give up half of their wealth. So they go, look, we'll negotiate, we're taking you over, but you got to surrender half of your wealth. So he mentioned in the year 1210, in the month of Dhul Qa'dah, that Imam As-Saud went from Ad-Dar'iyah وَقَصَدَ Al-Ahsa again. And when they landed in a village called Al-Raqiqa. They were ordered, the army was ordered to shoot their weapons, okay, all at once, to intend to frighten the people. This is the Da'wat al-Najdiyah, okay? This is Da'wat al-Najdiyah. And that the earth trembled, okay? The earth trembled. And when the arrows over, many pregnant women in Al-Ahsa had a miscarriage, lost their babies. Okay, lost their babies due to obviously fear. So where also is this? Coming back to me now. Okay, so that's the story in Tuhfatul Mustafid. Okay, this story is also in Unwan al-Majd, as you can see on screen, and this is in the year 1210. Okay, the year 1210, and there's a story right there, right in front of you.
ليس الغريب غريب الشام واليمن، إن الغريب غريب اللحد والكفن، إن الغريب له حق لغربته على المقيمين في الأوطان والسكن، سفر بعيد وزاد لن يبلغني، وقوتي ضعفت والموت يطلبني، ما أحلم الله عني حيث أمهلني، وقد تماديت في ذنبي ويسترني، تمر ساعة